Let us explore the folly of legislating morality. A fellow on Reddit once explained that the majority of his Zen training was contemplating the 5 moral precepts. Superficially, that might sound quite profound. But does that one really need to work that hard at not killing or raping or stealing or the like? When I was a little boy, my stepfather, while attending law school, would chide me not to be an Illinois attorney. But what is that? An Illinois attorney will keep the letter of the law while finding license to break the spirit of the law. They're not concerned with doing the right thing. They're concerned with doing what they want and getting away with it, or helping their client to do that. Think back to the second and third installments of the Star Wars prequel trilogy, Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith. Everybody and their uncle commented that the actor, Hayden Christensen, seemed to be rather wooden, but those in the know insisted that no, Hayden's a good actor. He was simply following the direction given to him by the director. Why was it important that Anakin seemed so wooden? Because the training he received from the Jedi Order during the era of the prequel trilogy was superficial. You can sit in meditation without meditating. You can keep the superficialities of the Jedi Code without it really touching one's heart. Forcing the trappings of love only generates an analog of love. Analog is a funny word. I don't know about you, but I've got a shit ton of brain damage, and I've had to fight for what vocabulary I possess. And I learned the word analog from watching a documentary version of The Omnivore's Dilemma, in which the author of the book upon which the documentary is based takes the camera crew to an upscale supermarket and pulls out a what appears to be a tomato on the vine and says, "This is not a tomato. It is an analog tomato." It looks sort of like how an artist might paint a tomato, but the color is a little bit off. The texture is off. And when you slice it and put it in your mouth, the flavor is off. It kind of looks like a tomato, except in the way, but it's not a tomato, especially in the ways that matter. So how do we get around this? The Dzogchen Lamas of Tibet, I should say the highest Dzogchen Lamas of Tibet, agree that the highest love is not the product of willpower. It is not the product of intellectual contemplation. It is spontaneous. It is uncontrived. And it is a byproduct of our effective and consistent practice of mindfulness and meditation. About 12 hours ago, I explored the neuroscience behind this. I'll try very hard not to beat a dead horse. Vegans don't like doing that. Not even as a figure of speech. But fMRI studies have shown the most efficient way to get the part of our brain responsible for empathy to light up is not by contemplating love, is not by choosing love, but rather by simply noticing and relaxing. When we do so, the more we do that, the more we will find that our choices, utterances, and deeds are flowing from a place of centered spontaneity, love's centered spontaneity. And that is how we personify the archetype, the way-seeking Jedi of lore. I look forward to chanting and meditating with you after approximately... Hello, Brock. After approximately 30 seconds of housekeeping. Let's see, which button to click? Let's try this one. This is Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. For more than 30 years, I spent more than 8 hours a day, every day, studying, practicing, mastering, and reverse engineering the teachings and techniques of each sect of Buddhism and Taoism so that you would not have to. Welcome to Meditate Like a Jedi, which is made possible due to the generosity of viewers just like you. If you've just tuned in, welcome aboard. If at any point during the remainder of this evening's live stream you have a specific question about Buddhist meditation, Buddhist chanting, Buddhist philosophy, or how to apply them, simply type your question in great detail in the chat window. The Buddha's essential distillation of the spiritual path is known as the Eightfold Path. So, it is my desire that by simply attending these live streams, you'll not only come to understand the Eightfold Path, but master it. Let us begin with right aspiration, right view, and right zeals, second, first, and the sixth folds of the Buddha's Eightfold Path. We're going to train in them in a very efficient way, simply by chanting recitations of empathetic bodhicitta and enthusiastic refuge. We do this not as prayer to win the favor of real or imagined entities, but as simply as a way of guiding our intention through the magic of language. The first version of bodhicitta and refuge is going to be fairly literal, and we're going to chant it we're going to recite it in harmony with a triplet chant together. May I liberate all beings from the tyranny of hate and craving and clinging, by relying on the Buddha's example, instructions, and students. These three nouns are so useful to our spiritual training that over the centuries they've earned the nickname, the metaphoric nickname, of the three wish-fulfilling jewels, kind of like Aladdin and his lamp, or Aladdin's lamp. This version of bodhicitta and refuge is more concise and more figurative, and we're going to perform it 3 times. We're going to recite it according to a bookend chant, which is my go-to chant, really. May I liberate all beings by relying on the 3 jewels. May I liberate all beings by relying on the 3 jewels. May I liberate all beings by relying on the 3 jewels. Mindfulness and meditation are known by many names in many languages, such as Satipassaddhi, Chan, Dhyana, Mahamudra, Mahasandhi, Ati Yoga, Dzogchen, and Trekcho. As children, the first bicycle we received most likely had training wheels, which, although were clunky, did get the job done. Similarly, this evening's first contemplative exercise is going to be ungainly. During our inhalation, let's do two things. First, let us generate a vertical traction between our head and our tush. Second, let's silently and mentally recite the 12 syllables, perceiving this very turbulent play of mind. During each exhalation, let's physically relax as best we can, while silently and mentally reciting an additional 12 syllables, relaxing into mind's non-graspable nature. Let us remove the first of two metaphoric training wheels, reducing our contemplative exercises from 12 syllables per breath down to just 3. During our inhalation, let's silently and mentally recite "Notice this," and during our exhalation, let's silently and mentally recite "Relaxing." There will come times when we feel tremendous resistance towards the circumstantial, the physical, the interpersonal, or the mental. When that happens, it can be useful to play with certain labels during our inhalation. Labels such as appearance, resonance, sensation, this flavor, this fragrance, emotion, intention, cognition, recollect, and imagine. Our job is not to exhaust ourselves trying to perfectionistically select the optimum label in the shortest amount of time. But occasionally, when we feel great resistance to the present moment, playing with these labels could help. So let us give ourselves permission to at times have a shallow learning curve. Together, let's remove the second of two metaphoric training wheels, reducing our contemplative exercises from 3 syllables per breath down to just 1. During our inhalation, let's silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this, and during our exhalation, let's silently and mentally recite the monosyllabic verb ease, which functions as a synonym of relax. There will come times when we feel great resistance to the circumstantial or the physical or the interpersonal or the mental. Our solution is not to somehow manipulate our circumstances, but to transcend our resistance through the use of non-dualistic labeling. So it's taken a bit of poetic license to transform those previous 10 3-syllable labels to their 1-syllable counterparts. So I'll show you just a few that required a greater degree of poetic license. When we were experiencing resistance to the physical, we could use the noun form. When we are experiencing resistance to the emotional, we could use the verb feel. When we are experiencing resistance to the past, we could work with the preposition then. And when we are experiencing resistance to our imagination, we could work with the verb dream. Testing. Now that we have reached cruising altitude, together as a team, let us meditate as transformatively as Rey on Ahch-To under the guidance of Luke Skywalker. Oh, I'm using the wrong text. Don't I feel silly? Let's chant. It is said that Quan Chi Yin Pusa an archetype of love and letting go. While moving in the deep peace of the perfect understanding of awareness and release. Shed light on the five aggregates and found them equally empty. After this realization, she made peace with all pain. So emptiness only, if we take emptiness literally, we will find ourselves either in the superstition of blind faith or the skullduggery of pseudo-intellectualism. But if we take emptiness as a figure of speech, it makes much more sense. Every time we relax into our exhalation, whatever we noticed during our previous inhalation could now feel as if it was as non-graspable as a vast, empty void, like the illusion of the infinite azure sky on a bright and beautiful cloudless morn, which, although could be tantalizing to the eye, is non-graspable to the hand. And so our job is not to meditate to get rid of pain, but our resistance to pain. Let's pause to meditate. together. By the way, if you've just tuned in, welcome aboard. The moment you have a question about Buddhist chanting, Buddhist meditation, Buddhist philosophy, or how to apply them, simply type your question in great detail in the chat window. Listen, Shari Pundra, form is emptiness, emptiness is form. Form does not differ from emptiness, emptiness does not differ from form. The same is true with healing, appraisal, impulse, and awareness. It's important that we not get hung up in minutia. The five aggregates are just one of several systems of organizing our experience. But to demystify the five aggregates, form just means body. Feeling is a reference either to pleasure, pain, or neither. Appraisal is simply a reference to the intensity or the volume of the pleasure or the pain. Impulse is a way of describing our primal drives to shove or to pull, to push or to pull. Awareness is just a reference to thought. There is a turn of phrase that's popular in Soto Zen. Thought, no thought. And basically what that means is as we breathe in, we might recognize a thought. And as we relax into our exhalation, that thought can begin to feel rather non-graspable. Together. Listen, Shariputra, phenomena marked with emptiness. Shariputra is just a name, there's nothing mystical here. They are neither produced nor destroyed, neither corrupted nor purified, neither increasing nor decreasing. There are dualities. If you think you're so spiritual that you cannot tell the difference between dog dew and chocolate, you don't get to make me lunch. You don't get to make me dessert. That's for damn sure. There will be times when we perceive production, other times we'll not perceive distraction. Our job is not to tell ourselves stories or mitigate our perception. Simply content ourselves that as we relax into our exhalation, the production that we perceived during our previous inhalation can begin to feel less graspable. And the same holds true with its opposite and the like. So we're shifting gears now for emphasis on the now or the adjective emptiness. And now, I forgot what part of speech no is, but we're going to play with the word now. We're going to emphasize that for a while. Therefore, in emptiness there is no form, no feeling, no appraisal, no impulse, and no awareness that once perceived cannot be released. So, whenever you see something in parentheses that's been italicized and in this of a smaller font, that's my attempt to amplify the text. We're not using no as a form of nihilism, but as a rather ungainly turn of phrase, a deliberately ungainly turn of phrase that helps us to remember. So we're not saying that there is no form. We're saying there's no form that once perceived cannot be released, because that's how we're wired by natural selection. To have not only a sympathetic nervous system that notices, but a parasympathetic nervous system that physically relaxes and mentally releases. together. No sensation, no flavor. So what we're going to do now is deconstruct the three circles of experience, beginning with the object of perception. No sensation, no flavor, no scent, no sound, no sight, no phenomena that once perceived cannot be released. We've explored the objects of perception. Now we're going to explore the organs of perception. No body, no tongue, no nose, no ears, no eyes, no mind. What does mind perceive? Mind perceives emotion, intention, thought, memory, and imagination. Let's try this again. No body, no tongue, no nose, no ears, no mind. No body, no tongue, no nose, no ears, no eyes, no mind that once perceived cannot be released. So we've explored the objects of perception, the organs of perception, and now we're going to explore the very act of perception itself. No feeling, no tasting, no smelling, no hearing, no seeing, no noticing that once perceived cannot be released. As redundant as this sounds, we can perceive perception. So we previously explored, well, twice we explored the five aggregates. And I told you that there are many systems of organizing experience. This is a reference to another one of them. One is not better or worse than the other. Our goal is not to master minutia and the thousand and one ways of organizing phenomena. Our job is to get really, really good at noticing and releasing together. No interdependent origins and no extinction of them. From confusion to aging and death that once perceived cannot be released. No stress, no exacerbation, no liberation, no path. No understanding, no attainment that once perceived cannot be released. Because there is no attainment that once perceived cannot be released. The Bodhisattva archetypes of awareness and letting go supported. By the perfection of understanding, find no obstacles for the minds that once perceived cannot be released. Having no obstacles that once perceived cannot be released, they transcend the tyranny of fear, liberating themselves forever from the tyranny of illusion and realizing perfect nirvana. So let's look at this carefully. We're not saying there is no fear, and we're not saying there is no illusion. We're saying that we're able to perceive fear and illusion, and we're able to release our grasp upon it, at least momentarily, as we relax into our exhalation. All Buddhas of the past, present, and future, thanks to this perfect understanding of noticing and releasing, arrive at full right and universal enlightenment. Therefore, one should know that this perfect understanding of noticing and releasing is like a great mantra, is like an unequaled mantra. The destroyer of the tyranny of all suffering, the incorruptible truth. A mantra prajnaparamita's perfect wisdom of awareness and release could therefore be proclaimed. This is the mantra Gante Gante Para Gante Para Samgate Buri Swaha. Gone completely and perfectly, gone to enlightenment, may it be so. Let's seal this evening's practice with two loving chants. The first one will put us in remembrance of the third, fourth, and fifth folds of the Buddha's Eightfold Path. May all beings practice of kind communication, conduct, and calmness flow spontaneous and uncontrived. This evening's final chant could put us in remembrance of the right view and right intentions, first and second folds of the Buddha's Eightfold Path. May everyone be free from misery, may everyone be happy, may no one be separated from the happiness. May everyone have balance from the tyranny of hating, craving, and clinging freed. If you feel that I have earned it, you could give this live stream a thumbs up. You could even help support this channel. In approximately 10 2/3 hours, I would very much like to return to lead tomorrow's early meditation class and group practice. And if you are as geeky as me, may the Force be with you always.